Thank you. We've got Edna is coming. I will tell you that Edna and I went to El Tecnológico de Monterrey together as college students. So it's very special to me to have someone here from that time of my life. Edna, hello. What a joy to see all of you. And then we've got local friends. Hi, Kate and Sue. And as I was saying, Elizabeth is here. And yeah, so thank you for, so Rosie and Kate are our co-hosts. They will be taking care of all of us today. They've been letting everyone in now that we have to have waiting rooms on Zoom. But I will, Kate, when you feel ready in the next couple minutes, we can go ahead and start. And then I will share my screen. We'll do share some content and then make sure I'm getting you to get to meet one another.
Hi, everyone. I'm actually going to be doing the introduction speech.
Oh, right.
So, yeah.
My apologies. I didn't know Kate was going to say anything. She's saying something at the end, right? My apologies. Yeah.
Yes. So, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Lasting Cross-Cultural Strategies for Dealing with Today's Problems. My name is Rose Vavoda, and I proudly serve as a student associate at the Leadership Institute at MSU. Our office inspires students to become leaders who serve as catalysts for positive change. So thank you for joining the MSU Leadership Institute and the Honors Presents lecture series for today's workshop. In preparation for this workshop, I'm honored to introduce our special guest. She brings over 25 years of experience as a highly skilled executive coach, leadership development consultant, instructor, and principal of Combs & Company. She's the author of 3 books and has served as a teaching professor for Columbia University's Teachers College and Montana State University's Leadership Fellows Program and Honors College. For the past 13 years, she has taught leadership development and conflict resolution to over 3,500 U.S. State Department selected fellows. She also founded the Leading Well Network in 2017. Today, people from at least 50 different countries will join together in order to learn about 4 perennial strategies that we might apply to overcoming our current challenges. I am honored to introduce Dr. Deidre Combs.
Thank you. Thank you, Rose. And thank you for all your help making this happen. We are indeed very, I'm just in such great joy, as you can tell, just to have everyone coming together, this beautiful virtual global community, and that to see all of you and to know of many of your work and the great contributions that you're making in the world. I am looking forward to spending this next about hour and 10 minutes with you. And as I was saying, we, for those of you who are just joining, you are a community of well over 50 countries, 185 people signed up for this, and I'm really excited to have these groups cross-pollinate some over the next hour. So I'm going to share my screen and get us started. Here we go. And wait for that to disappear so I can get to slideshow. There we go. Play from the start. All right. So we wanted today to talk about cross-cultural strategies for modern problems. And again, thank you to the Honors College and the Leadership Institute at Montana State University for bringing us all together. Today, I want to give you a bit of an overview, introduction about what is this cross-cultural strategies and modern problems. Give you 4 skills that I hope will support you in these fascinating times, and make sure that you have time to share with one another. So we've got a couple modern problems going on right now, to say the least. You know, I think what's binding us all together is, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic. That is a shared modern problem. Not that we have not had pandemics in the past, but it's something that is on, I think, all of our minds and is working our brains, which will make more sense as I proceed. As well, we add on top of that different societal problems, and many of you on this call are actively working on those societal problems, and they're big. From racial injustice to human trafficking to homelessness to corruption. We are struggling environmentally. If you were to look out the windows of our friends here in Montana, it is covered in smoke from the western, we are covered in smoke from the western forest fires. And as well, just by the nature of being alive here on this planet at this time, we're also working with personal and professional challenges. So what do we do about that? How do we perform well? And those of you who know me, I love to go back and look at our lasting traditions to find clues. I'm always looking for what is said no matter where I go. What would a wise grandmother tell me if I was in Bangkok, Bahrain, or Bozeman, Montana, that will help me to live well? And so I'm looking for ubiquitous advice, and that it's been there for thousands of years. It feels like a place that I can rest in, that we've been working on problems for thousands and thousands of years as human beings. What have we figured out? What I love is the philosophy I use is, what do I find? And then is that also showing up in modern day research? So systems theory, the study of how we as humans and as groups work and ecosystems work, as well as what are we learning about our brains? And noticing there's this amazing correlation between what we've been told to do for a very long time with how our brains perform best. So we're finding in these new fields of behavioral economics and positive psychology, and as well as leadership research, that what we've been told to do for a long, long time by our wisest friends helps us to serve not only to perform well in our own lives, but when we're leading. Meanwhile, we are dealing with a lot of change right now. We are in a place of rapid change and disruption, and it is unnerving. Sorry about that. When we are in a place of rapid change, our brain is trying to address or suss out if there's threat. And this is exhausting. It causes us stress. The amygdala that's in the center of our brain is activated and saying, is this a threat? Is this a problem? What do we need to do? How do I handle this? And it, as a result, makes us exhausted, can make us kind of ornery, as well as create a sense of overwhelm. We know from Daniel Kahneman's work, who is a behavioral economist, that our brain likes to think fast. It likes to be on autopilot as much as possible. If I told you to brush your teeth, you would pick up the toothbrush, put on the toothpaste, and just start brushing. But if I told you now you need to brush your teeth without your hands, things get a little more interesting. We use the slower processing part of our brain to hopefully creatively figure out a solution. Meanwhile, when we're under a threat, it makes it really difficult for us to move into that slow thinking, creative brain. Change also is it creates excitement, because we don't change and we don't grow without change. We need change. It has full of possibility, but it also then creates fear, because that possibility may be something wonderful. You think about, how it might bring opportunity, a new job, a new place to travel, but it also can bring a sense of fear, because it could be a threat. I refer you to Daniel Kahneman's work on Thinking Fast and Slow, and as well as Dan Gilbert, to understand how our brain acts on change. I wanted to give you a quick primer on how our brains work and where we want to be in our brain. Our brain is actually like 4 different brains. We have at the base of our skull the reptilian brain. That, when the amygdala, we see a new threat, the amygdala gets activated and says, ooh, that could be something bad or scary. If we saw something coiled in the corner of a room, we might think it could be a rope, but our brain might go, that could be a snake, and send us right to our reptilian brain. And in our reptilian brain, we are to think, it is all about survival. It doesn't think about anything but the present and us. So it's a very selfish brain that's there for our survival. We have in the center of our brain the limbic system. This is what they might call the mammalian brain. This thinks about me when I'm threatened and also my people. As a mother, we call it my mother bear instinct. It's the place where I'm going to grab my child and take them away, not thinking for a moment if the threat is a real threat or not. This is a place when we are worried about our tribe, it gets activated. Meanwhile, we have at the top of our brain the neocortex and our prefrontal lobes. They say that these are the most developed components of our minds. They think in past, present, and future. They can think about other people. They can think about communities that are not our own. We can do creative problem solving. So when we are dealing with threat and when we are dealing with change, we really want to try to work ourselves as much as possible into this part of our brain, because that's where we're going to perform best. And I want to pass along 4 tips that seem to move us into those parts of our brains so that we perform well and that we lead well. First, and those of you who know me, I always start with this. It's the, if you remember nothing else, part of the presentation is gratitude is a superpower. There are wonderful studies that show that when we are threatened, we cannot process gratitude in our reptilian brain. So if someone is coming at you, say you are at MSU and someone is yelling at you for wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, and you start to feel scared and threatened, if you can, if nothing else, think, thank you for this opportunity to learn, you might have the opportunity to get yourself up to your neocortex and more creatively respond, instead of wanting to punch that person or run away from them, or freeze and not want to say, not be able to say anything. We have to process gratitude in our neocortex. It's just where we do it. So you'll see in traditions around the world, cultural and spiritual traditions, we are counseled each day to begin and end our day with gratitude, with what is working. We see it in the martial arts that are based in the Buddhist and Taoist traditions, where there's an opening bow that says, thank you for this opportunity to learn. I know that you could hurt or destroy me, but this is important. By fighting, I become better. I become stronger. One way to think about gratitude in when stuff feels really awful and we're really in our reptilian brains or mammalian brains and feeling just miserable is I get to be here. I get to experience these times that I was born. What a fascinating time to be here. So we are counseled that we want to actually be grateful for everything. Not only those things that are easy, but also the difficulties, and to see it as training, and that's another way to support ourselves. Now, I just want you all to meet each other. Can you tell? So we're going to start with an exercise where I'm going to break you into pairs, and I want you just to try on and practice gratitude. And if nothing else, you're going to do a gratitude practice, which is good for you and good for your health. You're going to introduce yourselves. I'll put this in the chat as well. Your name, your hometown, and think about some little problem that's bothering you. Just something tiny. We don't want to spend too much time on it. But just to kind of get yourself a little bit, you know. For some of us, it may have been hard to get in on this call and it was frustrating, or our internet has gone in and out. I want you to notice how your body's acting. Is it, you know, your throat getting constricted or struggling to breathe? So just kind of noticing what threat does. Then think about 5 things you are thankful for. And if you can, think about what you might be thankful for with the situation. The idea is when conflict comes to be grateful. Then notice, has anything shifted? Has your thinking shifted, or even your body shifted a little bit? Then switch and have the other person in your pair do the same thing. Little problem, notice how you're feeling, 5 things you're thankful for, then notice the difference. And then I'll bring you back. So I'm going to stop sharing so I can see you all. And I'm going to break you into breakout groups. So it won't be for long. Let me put in the chat so you have this information. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, there you have the prompt, breaking you into pairs here.
Dee Dee?
Yes.
How long will we have?
You will have just 5 minutes, if that's okay.
Total, 2.5 each.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for asking that. Yeah. I needed the process while I'm working on the small groups. This is good. Here we go. I think we've done it. Let's see, we are, oh, how wonderful. There we go. All right, here we go. I'm gonna create breakout groups. Enjoy getting to meet one another. I will bring you back in about 5 to 6 minutes. You see, and coming back, which is good. Let's see, I'm gonna close out. So Carmen had just asked about not only how when we engage in gratitude, what it does for us, but when we see another in a place of gratitude, how that affects us. Within our brains, we have something called mirror neurons. And our mirror neurons are, what they do for us is they help us to have empathy or to feel what another person is feeling. So if someone is in pain, we might feel pain. But when someone is in gratitude, we'll feel gratitude. Our emotions are actually contagious for others, which is an important concept when we're thinking about leading. I'm going to bring up my slides again. I'm hoping that, let's see, before I do that, no, you got to my screen. I do not want that. There we go. I hit the wrong button. Before I do that, I wanted to just ask in the chat, how did your conversation go? You can put in a quick, I love it. You hopefully was that a good connection? Could you feel that other person's gratitude? Could you feel your mirror neurons, that contagious nature of your experience, of their experience? Yes. Oh, good. I wanted to watch just a bit to see. Yeah. Yeah, as I dropped into the main room, we were having a conversation about gratitude, and it made me feel better. So watching how when we are leading, how we are comporting ourselves matters for those around us, because their mirror neurons are picking up our state. If I'm in a place of calm, it can permeate a room. But if I'm in a place of fear or anger, it can cause that stress. So something else to consider as we're thinking about our brain. Yeah, I will go back to sharing my screen. There we go. All right. Okay. I love this German proverb that no one is luckier than he who thinks himself so. And so that as we think about with gratitude, if we're holding that place of gratitude, we open ourselves to that state. Number 2, so we're going to do 4, and I'm going to make sure I give you time in small groups, but I want to touch upon these other 3 as well. Around the world, we are told to be open to outcome, not attached to outcome. We are asked around the world to be open to what might come. In the Islamic tradition, we may, as we're talking about the future, say inshallah, or God willing, Allah willing. In Spanish, you will find around the world, especially in Mexico, they will say ojalá, again, God willing. You will find in Hinduism, it says, do your work and do it well, but don't be attached to the fruits of your work, to the outcome. Don't grab onto that. In Tibetan Buddhism, they talk about clinging or shenpa, and how do we instead be open and let things come as they are supposed to. Our brains do this to us. We have in our prefrontal lobes the ability to visualize the future. We want things, and when we visualize that future, we want things to be a certain way. Meanwhile, we then put blinders on how we're trying to get to a certain place. By being open to outcome and not attached to outcome, we expand our listening skills and open ourselves to more possibilities. This is a time for adaptive leadership. There is management where every day we do things a certain way, but we need to be able to shift, change, adapt. I don't know about all of you, but this has been my year of learning about flexibility. I thought I was going to be doing this, and I'm doing something very different. Each day we make plans, and we realize maybe those won't work. There is a Zen Buddhist koan that says to hold tightly with an open hand. How do we hold tightly with an open hand? This is the advice we are given around the world. And the approach is, how can we hold on to our vision, but allow it to unfold in a form that we might not have seen? Hold the essence of what we think is important, but at the same time, not get fixated on it going a certain particular way. So I want to give you, as a daily practice, these kind of questions to consider in your leadership and in your daily conduct. Where can I be more open to outcome? How can I flexibly implement my vision? How often each day am I surprised? This is an indicator of how detached I am. And detachment is not caring. It is caring deeply, but from an objective place. Where am I too attached? And one of my teachers, Angeles Arian, would always say, if I can't tease you about something, I can't joke with you about something, you are too attached. So if I think this is the way I must teach and this is how it must look, I'm probably too attached. If you start to tease me about, Deidre, you're always doing it just in that particular way. And I could be, oh yes, I'm a little attached. That would open and help me to let go. Where am I too attached? If I can't tease you, you're too attached. All right, I pass along this wonderful poem that holds the sense of being open to outcome. It's called Allow. There's no controlling life. Try corralling a lightning bolt, containing a tornado. Dam a stream and it will create a new channel. Resist and the tide will sweep you off your feet. Allow, and grace will carry you to higher ground. The only safety lies in letting it all in, the wild and the weak, the fear, the fantasies, failures and success. When loss rips the doors off your heart, or sadness veils your vision with despair, practice becomes simply bearing the truth. In the choice to let go, so you can't be teased. You gotta be able to keep adapting here. In the choice to let go of your known way of being, the whole world is revealed to your new eyes. So this idea of being open to outcome and not attached to outcome. Where can I allow? Where can I hold tightly with an open hand? This comes in as well with the idea of embracing the and. We see this in the ancient symbol of the mandorla, which is the Western version of the yin-yang symbol. This is the place that says where the opposites dance. So holding, when the mandorla means almond in Italian, it's that almond-shaped center between the two circles. And they say if one circle is white, the other circle is black. But the mandorla would be that dancing of the opposites should be the color of peacock's feathers, rainbow. And that is a doorway into new possibilities. During this time of the pandemic, we're really asked to hold this and to be in a place of uncertainty, of not knowing, of that allowing. So right now we are in a time of great opportunities and risks at the exact same time. Some of us don't have work, but we also have time to do things that we maybe haven't been able to do, to talk to friends, to be able to gather here today. That many of us are working from home means that we actually get to do this. We're making new connections, and there's also great tragedy right now. How do we hold the fear and the growth, the gains and the losses? I refer you to some great work by psychologist Pauline Boss, who talks about ambiguous losses, and that how do we hold where we're losing things, but things are working at the exact same time. How can you rest in uncertainty? This is also something that gets processed in your neocortex and prefrontal lobes. This Indian poet Tagore says, "Let me not be sheltered from dangers, but be fearless in facing them. Let me not beg for the stilling of my pain, but for the heart to conquer it." Feeling that and in his quote. Okay, number 4, because I want to make sure that you get to have time and discussion as well, is the amazing win-win strategy of generosity. I love studying the different cultural and spiritual traditions and seeing that we have been asked around the world, across time, to care for those who are vulnerable and less fortunate, to be generous, to give. Each of you in your own tradition, I'm sure, are starting to think of a saying or a proverb about how it is better to give than to receive, or how when we give, we receive tenfold. It is really, really good for you. It is good for your mental health to be generous. So it's a very selfish act of generosity, of being selfless. There's studies on generosity that says that our amygdala, remember that organ in our brain that that activates and sends us into fight flight, is calmed when we are generous. And we need to be targeted generosity is what it's called. So it's actually targeted generosity is you can see the person or the group that you are being generous with. You don't actually need to see them, but you have an interaction with that particular person. It might be paying for the person's coffee who is behind you in a line. You know who that person is. That reduces your stress and calms your calms your amygdala. Gives you a warm, glowing feeling. Untargeted generosity would be giving to giving to the Red Cross. it's good for you, but it doesn't have that amazing stress reduction that helping someone in a very direct way does. So if you are struggling, if you are feeling stress right now, we are counseled to pay it forward, to on a daily basis do something kind for someone else, and you will feel better. My favorite example of this is from my father. When we were in the recession of the 1970s, my father lost a number of jobs. And one of the things that he did was he started volunteering at a local church to help others to write their resumes. He was getting very good at writing his own resume as there were job losses in his own life. And he was sharing that with others. And he started to help there and also to provide workshops. And one thing led to another, and he became what they called an outplacement counselor. So his generosity became his passion, where he would help people who were out of jobs and help them to deal with the loss and to find a new job. So it's amazing what can happen when we bring generosity into the fold. I get to be adaptive with the with the PowerPoint. Okay, yay, the timing's perfect. This is when I wanted to make sure we are bringing you into small group. So these are 4 potential tips and techniques that you can use in your daily life. And I know that you also have more. So what we're going to do is this, put you into small groups of 4. I want you to share your name, where you're from, maybe something that makes it unique. Share what you do and be specific so people get to know you. And think about what are the strategies that you've been using to help yourself during these times of great change. What do you need to add more of in the next months? When we commit to another, it has a wonderful effect of helping us to move closer to our goals. Who in your community needs our generosity right now? And what might be one small targeted thing that you could do? I'm going to stop sharing. See all of your wonderful faces again. I am going to, in the chat, put that prompt so that you have it. And I'm also going to remind you of the dialogue ground rules that you were provided in your, here we go, in the information that we sent you for this class. So you'll see in the chat, oh, let's see, oh, no, I just sent those privately to Carmen. That doesn't do you any good. We're gonna do that again. There we go. Okay, hopefully everyone sees them now. There we go. All right. I'm going to put you.
Was there a guideline for